Whether you're a new or returning player, or already play Master Duel and are making an alternate account to try another deck, one of the most important aspects of this game is knowing how to best take advantage of its free-to-play economy. And if you can do that, you can build just about any deck you want your first day of playing without having to spend a penny. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. We're going to be doing yet another free-to-play video here where I'm going to start a brand new account and show you how to maximize your competitive output or build as many strong decks as you can without having to spend a dime. And as I said, you can even have your first competitive deck done the first day that you play. This is a series that I've been doing for a little while now, and every time the game has a major update, introduces new structure decks, etc., I really like to come in and revisit the free-to-play series. So, again, whether you are brand new to Master Duel, or you're simply looking to try some more decks on an alternate account, I'm going to show you how to get as many gems, cards, and decks together as possible. Before we get started, I real quick up top have to always shout out the people who support this channel. First of all, you by watching. Thank you so very much, but also our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Down below next to the subscribe button here on YouTube, there's a button that says join. And if you click that, you can join as a YouTube member, which will let you see all YouTube uploads as soon as they are uploaded rather than when they go live. I typically schedule videos out at least a couple of days, but sometimes even up to a week or more in advance. We also have some members-only content. And speaking of exclusive content, over on patreon.com/hexlex, that's all we do is exclusive content. At least 3 times a week, I post videos over there that do not get posted on YouTube here or any other platform. So if you want more of that exclusive content, then you're going to head again to patreon.com/hexlex. And whether you support as a YouTube member or a Patreon subscriber, your name will be featured at the end credits of every video. So thank you so very much to those supporters. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get right on into this new free-to-play account. So I literally have made a brand new account. I'm still on the title screen here. We will not be doing a data transfer. If you have no progress in Master Duel in any game, please proceed and start a new game. Yes. All right, I'm going to skip through some of this stuff here and let you know when we're at our first relevant decision point. All right, so we've skipped past the tutorials there, and we've arrived at our first decision and the first major change with the latest update to Master Duel. You are offered one of 3 structure decks, and unlike the choices of decks that were being offered in the past, these are high-quality decks, and they're going to be very, very good, not just starting off, but also just in general, honestly. These are all valid competitive decks for even the highest ranks of Rank Ladder. Not that these are all like tier 1 decks or anything, but you could in theory use these decks in Master Rank and still win after you've done some fine tuning, of course. So the 3 options are Cyber Kaiser, which is going to be a deck based around Cyber Dragon. We've got the Crimson Power Force deck based around the Red Dragon Archfiend. One of my previous free-to-play series, I actually based our first deck around this structure deck. So I have experience with it, and I can vouch for how effective it can be. And finally, there is Zero to Future, which is one of the newer structure decks that was introduced in this latest update, and in my opinion is actually one of the better ones. So for this free-to-play series, we are going to be using the Zero to Future structure deck. We're going to select that. These are all valid in their own right, though. And also, as mentioned here, you will also acquire the decks you did not select. So don't feel like this is, like picking a Pokemon starter or something where it's going to define your whole run and you can't, go back on it. No, you'll be able to get access to these decks in the future if you want to try them out. So, yeah, we're going to pick up Zero to Future. And now we have acquired our first structure deck. Going to go ahead and enter our name here. I'm just going to do Hexlex free to play. And I'll say OK. And now we're going to download some data. So once again, I'm going to cut and we will be right back. All right, once you're done downloading the data and you've clicked through all of the notifications, you will find yourself here on the main screen. So I'm going to show you around to some of the most important things that you're going to need to know about this when it comes to getting free and good decks and cards. The first thing is actually this friend icon up here where it says Rookie and Returner Mutual Follower Campaign. We're going to go ahead and click that, and we want to check campaign code. So what this campaign code is it allows you to share it with other people. And when people enter your campaign code, or when you enter other people's campaign code, you will receive a reward. And the reward for putting in just one campaign code is actually another structure deck, the Gigantic Sparkle structure deck, which is based around the Sprite cards. Sprite is another one of those decks, much like the 3 structure deck choices we were offered, where while it is not like a tier 1 deck, you could still play this up to master rank, and if you are a dedicated or skilled enough pilot with it, you will be able to find a competitive success. Another excellent pickup. So we definitely want to make sure that we are getting our campaign codes in, and if we enter 2 codes, we actually get another important card for the deck, which is Sprite Sprend, among some other cards here. So I'm going to go back over to enter campaign code, and I actually have my own campaign code pulled up here. Let me go ahead and grab that. Of course, if you all would like to use any of these codes, you are more than welcome to. So we'll go ahead and enter that one, and there we go. For entering the campaign code, again, as mentioned, even just once, we already get the Gigantic Sparkle structure deck. But as mentioned, there is another reward you can get for entering too. So let me go back again. And there, I added myself as a friend, and this should be... Oh, okay, we already entered it once, so you can only enter it once. So yeah, the next time that someone enters the code here, this account will have Sprite Sprend. But already great to have that extra deck there. The next, and honestly most important place you're going to want to look for getting free gems is going to be missions. Particularly, we're going to go to Lifetime. Lifetime missions for new accounts are chock full of these gem rewards. Look at them. Times 200, times 500, times 200, and these are actually really easy to achieve, these 2 categories in particular, finding a secret pack and winning a duel in solo mode. Now don't worry, I'm going to show you how to get all of these gems without having to actually really do any real dueling, even in solo mode. I know a lot of people get kind of intimidated about, you know, jumping right into even solo mode, let alone ranked, but don't worry. Like I said, I'm going to show you how to get all of this stuff for free without having to do either of those things. So we're actually going to start with win a duel in solo mode. You might be wondering, how could you possibly do that if you're not going to actually duel in solo mode? Well, if we go over here and take a look at training and challenges, there are going to be, and in duel training here as well, basically there are going to be missions in here where you follow along with a duel tutorial. Not only that, but also if you go into story mode in particular, go to any one of these and click play, then these all have practice scenarios where you don't even have to make any decisions. It's a literal tutorial that the game just tells you what to play, and you're just done with it. And these actually count as winning in solo mode. So that's how you can get those gems without having to actually, you know, do a real game where you have to know it and make the decisions and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into solo mode here. I'm going to do this off screen, and I am going to play enough until I'm able to complete the Lifetime mission here. So for winning in solo mode, it's going to be a total of 20. I'm going to do that off screen now, and I'll come back when we're collecting all of these rewards. So now we've got those 20 solo mode duels done, and as mentioned before, I'll go ahead and show you here. I didn't have to do any actual dueling, just went into story mode, went into these individual missions, and just did the practice, which again is a guided game. So now that we have gotten all of those done, we're going to go over here to missions, and we will collect all. And look at that, we got over 4,000 gems from that. Not only did we get those gems, we also got a lot of crafting materials here as well, which of course are going to be very important for getting the cards that we want. And now that we've done that, we're going to go back into missions, and we're going to do those other easy lifetime missions that I was telling you about, which is finding a secret pack. So we're going to talk about how to do that now. In order to find secret packs, you actually need to craft cards. The way that it works is, we can just go to create new here. The way that it works is you can generate cards that you don't own by spending crafting points. If you generate cards that are SR or super rare, UR or ultra rare, those will actually give you access to a secret pack that you can then spend gems on to buy more cards from that archetype. UR crafting materials are by far the most valuable, and all of the most powerful cards in the game tend to be URs. So we're going to want to spend SR craft points, which are much easier to come by. Now, as far as which cards to craft, there is actually an optimized list. I'm going to have a bunch of links in the pinned comment down below that I'll reference throughout the video. And one of those is going to be to a Reddit thread that will actually show you the best SR cards to craft to unlock secret packs, because certain cards will actually unlock multiple secret packs. And here's the other thing about secret packs. The first time you unlock them, you get one pull for free. So it does actually really matter which cards you craft. As far as which ones I'm going to be starting off with here, I'm going to, again, just go ahead and pull up that guide. And it looks like we want a card called Springin's Merrymaker. We're also going to want Performapal Skull Crabat Joker, which is this one. And Marshalling Field, which is going to be this one here. So in order to craft a card, it's 30 of its given craft points. We've got 100 SR craft points, so that means we can make 3. We're going to go to batch generate cards not owned. And there we go, we've crafted the 3 cards. And more importantly, if we go up here, yeah, we've unlocked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 secret packs, each of which comes with its own free pull. I'm going to open those off screen because it's a little bit tedious to click through them all, but I wanted to show you that. And not only did we get those craft points, or sorry, did we get those packs by spending those craft points, we have also, if we go back over here to missions, yeah, there we go, 6 more missions complete. Which not only results in another 1,000 gems, but 50 more UR craft points. So we have 150 UR craft points now. That's enough to make 5 UR cards. With that and all of these gems, I think it's time to go ahead and get started in building our deck. Or rather, I should say, we're going to start expanding upon some of the decks that we've already got. The Zero to Future structure deck, as well as the Sprite deck that we got from the campaign. So the first thing I actually want is another copy of the Zero to Future structure deck. Because if we take a look at the contents, a lot of the cards that are UR here come in 2 copies. And we're going to want 3 copies of particularly Onomatopoeia and Dodo Warrior. We're going to want a 3rd copy of each of those. And that's pretty much most of the reason why I'm buying a second structure deck. Now you might think, is it really worth it to buy a whole other structure deck just for 2 cards? And the answer is actually yes, because as mentioned before, UR craft points are going to be very hard to come by very quickly. So we want to save as many of those as possible. And it's only 500 gems for a copy of a structure deck, which is a great deal. 500 gems for even one of those UR cards, I think would be worth it. And speaking of gems to get guaranteed UR cards, the next place we're going to look is over here in Special. We're going to go down to Bundle Deal, and these are going to be some of the most important deals that you can get as a new player, because each of these bundle deals is 750 gems. They come with 10 packs, which 750 gems for 10 packs is already a pretty good rate. But more importantly, These each come with one copy of a very important staple card. This one in particular, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, you're going to play in quite literally 95% of any deck you build in Master Duel. Other ones I would recommend picking up sooner rather than later are Infinite Impermanence, Forbidden Droplet, Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion, Effect Veiler, Triple Tactics Talent, and Nibiru. Ghost Ogre is also pretty good, although not as quite as frequent as the other ones. Lightning Storm and Solid Judgment are fine cards, but they tend to be a little bit more specialized in where they're actually used. So we definitely want to pick up the Ash Blossom bundle here. We'll just go ahead and click skip. And it looks like we did end up getting a couple of UR cards, but more importantly, the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. I'm definitely going to end up dismantling both of these cards. I'll talk a little bit about how to know which cards to keep and knowing which cards are worth dismantling. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the deck build section. All right, so we got our first staple card, our first bundle there. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the Infinite Impermanence next. I think that's probably the next most important one. And we got one UR card. I think getting even one UR card in addition to the staple definitely makes it more than worth it. All right, for the next one, I think I might actually hold off on these bundles for just one moment because there is one other really good way to get staple cards that I want to show you. We're going to go over to packs, and you're going to want to look for the Challengers Collection. This is a pack that's pretty much always in rotation, and if we look at the cards included in this pack, a lot of them are going to be those aforementioned staple cards like Ash Blossom, Ghost Bell. Ones that aren't featured in certain other bundles that's particularly important include Mulch Army Fuelos and to a lesser extent Perulia. And we have more copies of Infinite Impermanence and Triple Tactics Talent. This is a very good pack to pull from if you're a new player because all of the cards that you're seeing here are not just used in one deck, but in multiple. And especially in the case of the UR cards, these are actually staples that could be, in theory, played in just about any deck. You don't tend to see Crackdown or the Karma Cannon as staples that much, and Impulse is a little bit specialized in where it's used. On top of that, I don't think Meows and Dark Ruler No More are that good of cards, but the rest of these are all very solid in their own right. So in addition to those 750 gem bundles I showed you, opening this pack is definitely always going to be a good call. We'll start by just getting 10 here. And wow, we actually got 2 of the Overframe Dominus Impulse. The Overframes here are a limited edition art. So that's actually really cool that we got a couple of those. And Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion, very, very good hand trap right now. Speaking of Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion, I think I am going to go back to Special and Bundle Deal. And let's grab the Ghost Spell bundle. Because in this particular metagame, I've been using her in just about every single deck I play. And we got 3 more UR cards out of it. Let's see, what is the next best thing to open at this point? I really like Triple Tactics Talent as a card, but it's not like as necessary as some of the other cards we've been talking about. I actually think at this point, it might be better to go back to pack and open some more Challengers Collection. Hey, we got a Triple Tactics Talent anyway. The Meows I'm not the most excited about, but they're not horrible. And we have enough to get one more 10-pack. So when you're seeing the packs in the preview here, if they're glowing rainbow, that means there's a guaranteed card, a UR card in there. Glowing yellow, or the animations that play if you open the packs one by one, don't actually mean anything. Fun fact, they don't actually guarantee anything. You can open a pack that's glowing yellow and it could have just all normal and rare cards. But again, rainbow glow does mean UR. And we only got a couple, but that's still fine. All right, we're down to 370 gems, so I think it's time to go into the deck edit menu and actually start putting together our first decks here. And as you can see, the game, true to its word, actually did give you the Cyber Kaiser deck, as well as Crimson Power Force, simply for completing those missions that we did already. I think I'm going to actually build these decks off screen. But before I do that, we're going to want to craft some more staple cards with our UR craft points. So let's actually sort by obtained order. That way you can actually see cards you own. We can dismantle all extra cards because you're not going to need any beyond the third copies anyway. And specifically, I want to see the UR cards that I have already. Okay, so as far as staples go, we got the Ghost Bells, we got the 1 Ash Blossom, the 1 Imperm. Alright. Yeah, see, here's the thing. I want to open more Challengers Collection, so I'm a little hesitant to craft all the staples I need. Yeah, let me actually take a look at some of these other missions real quick, and we'll figure out the next best course of action. Oh, so yeah, something I forgot to mention as I'm in missions here. When you open packs and pull cards, that also unlocks secret packs. So we actually did quite a few more of these unlock a secret pack missions. Enough to get 800 gems, which is actually enough to open another 10 pack here in the shop. You might be wondering why I am waiting until I get 1,000 gems to open like a 10 pack specifically. And that's because if you open 10 packs, not only are you guaranteed at least 1 super rare card, but even if you don't pull any ultra rare cards, there's a pity system where your next 10 pack will guaranteed have an ultra rare card. If you open packs 1 at a time, that pity system does not kick in. So you always want to open 10 packs at a time. You should never be opening 1 pack at a time. Speaking of things you should never be doing in the shop, where is it? The Master Pack is another pack that you really don't ever want to open. It's down here. So the Master Pack includes every single card in the game. And you might think that would be a good reason to open it because it's a good generalist pack. But that's actually not the case. Because it has every single card, there's no focus at all here. Meaning that there's always going to be one specific deck you're building towards, and you can always find a secret pack for that deck. Even if not, you'll definitely want to be opening the Challengers Collection for staples, just not the Master Pack. Don't ever open the Master Pack. But anyway, let's go ahead and find the Challengers Collection. We'll open 10 more of these. And we got our third Ghost Bell. Was really looking for Fuelos, Ash Blossom, and Infinite Impermanence. Unfortunately, we were not able to pull those, but that's okay. One other mission that we did get there was for more SR craft points. I believe we have 60 now. That means I can craft 2 more SR cards, which are going to be Asa the Earth Charmer, the Link 2, and then Double X-Saber Faltrol, which is going to be this one here. I'm getting these again from that list over on Reddit. We're going to batch generate cards not owned. It's fine if we're spending the rest of our SR craft points. Again, I'm not really concerned with those. And those 2 cards have unlocked 4 more packs. So the next thing I actually really need to do off screen is open my free pulls for all the secret packs here. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back to the deck edit screen and start working on crafting some more staples. Alright, I opened all of those secret packs off screen, got I think 3 UR cards among about 20 or so, which is a pretty good pull rate. So now we're going to start dismantling some of these cards that we're not going to use to be able to craft even more stuff that we do want to use. So we're going to go to dismantle selected cards here in the submenu, and we're going to filter by UR. And this will actually show you the UR cards that you're able to dismantle. Because if you take a look at this screen filtering by UR, you see there's a lot more cards here. But the reason for that is that it's showing us the UR cards that are like from our structure deck or from legacy packs. And those you're not able to dismantle. You can't buy a structure deck and then dismantle all the UR cards and get craft points. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So if you go to dismantle selected cards, then it'll show you UR cards from your packs. And those are the ones that you are able to dismantle. So, as far as knowing what is worth getting rid of and what's worth keeping, it really, honestly, a lot of it does come down to how well you know the cards that you want to keep or which ones are more competitively optimized, which of course for a new player can be quite difficult. So, there are a couple of ways that you could go about trying to figure out if you want to keep something, whether it's good or not. If you want to do your own research, there are plenty of websites where you can sort by cards and see which decks they're used in, or just look by the top meta decks. MasterDuelMeta.com is actually a pretty good resource for that. You can type in a card's name in a search bar, you can see which decks it's used in, and how frequently it is. YGO Pro Deck is another pretty good resource. That one tends to skew a lot more towards TCG and OCG, but there is a Master Duel section, and it does have similar search functionalities. If you're looking to engage with somebody who is already familiar with the game and can give you some more direct advice, then I advise heading to the description below and checking out our Discord server, the Hex Lex Plex. We have a questions and help channel that I've had in there since the first time I did one of these free-to-play series, and myself and other folks in the server are always happy to lend a helping hand if you just want to post like screenshots of the cards that you have and which ones are worth keeping. It's something we've done for a lot of folks in the past, and we're definitely always down to help you as well. So, for me, as far as which of these I'm going to save or which ones I'm going to keep, let's see. Therion is not a deck that I think is particularly good, nor I'm interested in playing. Six Samurai can be fun. It's okay, but I don't really want to play it. Argent Chaos Force. This card is actually mostly used in FTK or first turn kill decks, which aren't the most consistent, but they do win on the first turn. They're not that great, though, in the grand scheme of things, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it. Argo Stars is actually a pretty decent competitive deck, about on par with some of the structure decks we've got. I'm not interested in building it, though, so I'm going to get rid of it. Now, Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion, as mentioned, is going to be a staple card. Definitely want to keep that, as well as Ghost Warner. The Karma Cannon, I don't have direct plans for, but this is a card that is generally used in a lot of back row or trap card-based decks. I'm going to get rid of it on this account, but if you are considering making a long-term or main account, this is the kind of card where it might be worth keeping if you are, might in the future be interested in a back row deck and you're not sure. Generally speaking, I think it is worth keeping, but for the purposes of this free-to-play account, I am going to get rid of it here. Ritual Beast is not a deck that I'm going to build, and I'll go and dismantle that. Raid Raptor actually does have a structure deck, but I don't think you need Final Fortress Falcon. Either way, I'm just going to get rid of it because I don't plan on playing Raid Raptor. Upstart Goblin's a really interesting card, just letting you draw a card and giving your opponent 1,000 life points. Mostly used in Sky Striker, which is a really good, actually, tier 1 deck right now. I'm not planning on building that here, so I'll get rid of it, but definitely one that you should consider keeping if you are, on a, again, long-term or main account. You're thinking you might be interested in Sky Striker someday. Hieratic is an archetype I will firmly call casual. It does not see any competitive play at all, nor has it in pretty much since Master Duel has existed, so pretty comfortable getting rid of that. Machina Ruin Force, I've seen occasionally used in machine decks, but I'm not going to keep it here. I'm also going to get rid of the Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon. Now, Mulch Army Meowls. This is a very interesting card here because it's not one that really sees that much competitive use. If this game had side decks and best of 3, like, tournaments in the TCG and some OCG tournaments do, this would be a lot more, considerable to keep because you could always side deck it. But for Master Duel, where it's always best of 1, there's never really been a format where Meowls has been great to play. I think it's still worth hanging on to. However, if I throw in one more Meowls here, I think I'll have enough to make one more UR card. Let's see, 280 versus 2... Okay, so actually, if I can find 2 more URs I want to dismantle... No, I think I'd rather keep the rest of these. I'll even hang on to this other Meowls for now. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and do that. Again, Mulch Army Meowls, if you're making a main or long-term account, this would be a keep. But for the purposes of this account and this video, I'm just going to go ahead and dismantle it. And there you go. Now we have 280 UR craft points. So at this point, we're going to want to start putting together our first decks. Now, you could start from scratch, or we could build off a base of one of the structure decks. As I mentioned up top, I think I'm going to be focusing mostly on the Zero to Future structure deck. Of the structure decks we have, I think this is probably the most powerful, and it's also one of the newest. So I wanted to make sure that we covered this. The strategy of this deck is based around both the Onomatopoeia archetype, which consists of Zubababa, Gagaga, Go-Go, and Dododo monsters, and also the Utopia monsters based off of number 39 Utopia. If you've watched the anime Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, this is basically going to be a competitive version of the main character Yuma's deck. I'm actually going to link among some of the articles and guides down below a combo guide for this deck made by Moha Master Duel. Moha is one of my favorite YouTube channels to check out when I am looking to learn how to play a deck and how it combos. Combos are definitely going to be the bread and butter of how Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks play, what you can do on turn 1, and all the stuff you can put on your turn 1 end board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically reconstruct the deck list that Moha's got in his video, again linked down below, and we're going to try to recreate that deck as best we can with what we've got. Okay, I'm back. I've recreated the deck list from Moha's video. The one difference is that Moha's video was from a point when Maxi was at 2 copies, and now it's only legal at 1. So that's why this main deck is 42 instead of 43, like the one from that video. I also went ahead and off-screen dismantled a bunch of SR cards that I knew I wasn't going to use. SR cards, you don't have to be quite as picky as you are. Again, SR craft points are so much easier to come by than you are. So wanted to make sure we had enough SR craft points to generate what we need. I am going to make a couple of edits to this deck list before we start generating cards for it, though. One thing that I think is really important to note here is that Nibiru the Primal Being is still up for purchase in one of the bundle deals. If you've been following along with me exactly, and you've been getting all the stuff in the shop I've been, we still have a bundle deal for Nibiru in the shop, so we're not going to worry about that. Reinforcement of the Army is a card that's actually available from one of the solo missions that I haven't done yet. And again, if you're following along with me exactly, you might not have done it yet either, because it does involve actually dueling. So we're going to take those out to make sure they're not part of the massively generated cards here. And I think that's pretty much it for the main deck. Those are all the changes I'm going to make right now. For the extra deck, I am going to make one edit to take out the Prime F-Mech Alumbertian. I don't think it's bad in this deck, but I think there are better rank 4s to play, and it's a UR card, so it's pretty expensive. And as far as what the replacement's going to be, I think we'll figure that out here shortly. All these other UR cards in the extra deck, though, I think we do need, and the rest are SRs. So as far as the UR cards that are in the main deck that we haven't generated yet, these are all going to be staple cards that you're going to use in every deck pretty much moving forward, if not actually every deck, just about every single deck. So these are not just for this one deck, no. Maxi, Ash Blossom, Fuelos, Call By, Cross Out, Infinite Impermanence, all excellent staple cards. So is Droll and Lockbird, and it's only an SR, and we're going to make a couple of those here as well. So let's see how expensive this will be. Batch generate cards not owned, and yeah, as you can see, we went over budget on the URs by quite a bit. So 140 means that we're going to have to take out 5 of these UR cards for the time being. As far as which 5 those are going to be, let's drop the Fueloses for now. We can definitely substitute those for other hand traps. Crossout Designator is a really good card, but there's definitely an equally good substitute that we can throw in here shortly. And for the last one, I think we can get by with just 2 Infinite Impermanents for now. So now if we go to Batch Generate Cards Not Owned, now we can actually afford everything. And like I said, I think we do need to generate all of these UR cards that are in the extra deck. These are not going to be staples necessarily. I mean, a lot of these Xyz monsters that I'm showing you here, you can actually play in other decks too, which is really cool. Dragonar is definitely very specific to this deck, but if we really want our Zero to Future deck to shine at full power, then I think crafting these 4 UR monsters is going to be worth it. Plus, once we complete this deck and start dueling with it, both in solo and ranked mode, we're going to get a lot more missions done, and we can start affording a lot more cards anyway. So yeah, I think I'm good with going batch generate cards not owned, and clicking generate, and confirming. No royal cards, but that's alright. That's just a fun aesthetic thing anyway. We'll go ahead and click save, and of course by doing that, we also get a lot of free pulls here as well. This secret pack in particular, well, we'll talk about this later. I'll talk about possible upgrades to our Zero to Future deck. For the time being, I think we'll just go ahead and worry about filling out the rest of the main deck here, because we actually did have some other staple cards that we can substitute. As I touched on before, Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion is actually a really, really good card to have against decks that are really popular right now. Not just the ones that are popular right now, but even in general, this card is really handy for shutting down various strategies. So we'll put 3 of her in. Triple Tactics Talent is going to be our replacement for Crossout Designator. Although it doesn't do the same thing, Crossout Designator negating a card by banishing the same card from your deck, whereas Triple Tactics Talent lets you activate one of 3 effects when your opponent uses a monster effect. But both Crossout Designator and Triple Tactics Talent serve the same role of being useful when your opponent has what is known as a hand trap, something like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, or Infinite Permanence, cards that can be used from the hand in order to stop plays. Now, as far as this last card that we need to put in goes, let me think for a moment. You know, we could just put in another piece of engine for our deck. One thing I noticed in particular is that Moha's build was not playing Anamato Kage, which I thought was a little bit odd, because I think this card is really good for this deck, so we can just put that in to get our main deck up to 40 cards. Now to get our extra deck up to 15, we just need any generic rank 4. There's actually a lot of really good rank 4s that aren't UR cards. I think the one that I'm going to put in is Steel Swarm Roach. This one here, it's an SR, and it's got the ability to negate the special summons and destroy level 5 or higher monsters, which is a really solid effect. So we'll generate that with some of our SR craft points. I think that'll even unlock another pack for us. And then we'll click save. So there we go. This is what our Zero to Future deck looks like. I'll go ahead and click through it all for you. This is what our Zero to Future deck looks like right now. And honestly, this is pretty much on par with what the most competitive version of this deck would already look like. That is to say, specifically a Onomatopoeia deck, which is what Zero to Future is. Goblin Biker Grand Entrance, this might look a little bit weird, because you're like, goblin monsters, we're not playing a goblin deck, but excuse me, we have the Goblin Berg. So yeah, let me go ahead and just click all through these cards here, make sure that we know what they all are. And I think our next step is going to be actually taking this deck to solo mode, because as mentioned, there's this UR card called Reinforcement of the Army that we can pick up there. And this will be the first time in this series that we're going to be doing some actual, like, dueling. I don't know if I'm going to show it just because it is solo mode, and honestly, at the end of the day, the games are going to be fairly easy, even if you are new to the game, especially if you've got the deck that, you know, I've got following along here. But going into duel strategy and completing these missions is particularly nice because you can pick up a bunch of staple cards, not just Reinforce of the Army, but also Raigeki is a pretty powerful going second spell card. Monster Reborn is an option. Not very many competitive decks play it, but I mean, it's never like terrible or anything. And the card we're looking for is in this mission, Reinforcement of the Army, adding a level 4 or lower warrior monster from our deck to our hand. So we're going to have to play through a couple of duels to get to that point. I think I am just going to do this off screen. Don't worry, when we get into ranked gameplay, that I will be doing on screen. But yeah, let me just go ahead and grab this reinforcement of the army real quick, and then we'll keep editing our deck to include it, and possibly some other stuff, depending on what, if any, missions we complete. Okay, so now we have reinforcements of the army, which I got by, once again, just winning these 4 duels here. These opponents are all, of course, designed to be really easy because they're basically tutorial opponents, but if you're unsure, again, of what exactly to do once you actually play this deck, I will, again, refer you to Moha's combo guide linked down below, which is what I'm using pretty much verbatim for this deck here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take a look at missions. We've got 7 to receive here, and let's see what all that gets us. Oh, just a few gems, legacy pack. I haven't really talked about the legacy packs yet. You'll occasionally get legacy pack tickets. If you go over here to pack down to, where are they? Actually, we can just click up here, and then yeah, legacy pack ticket times 3. So legacy pack is kind of like a pack full of older / I'll be honest, mostly bad cards. There are a few URs in here that are pretty good, but for the most part you won't need them for competitive decks, and even if you do, it's not always the most advisable to craft them, because you'll get a lot of legacy pack tickets, a lot as the game goes on. So just keep playing and you will get those legacy pack cards. But yeah, we're going to pop on over to the Zero to Future deck, and now we can put the reinforcement of the army in. Am I just going to take out a card, or am I going to put it in as a 41st card? I think I'll just put it in as a 41st card, and that's fine. All right, so now we have our deck pretty much as complete as it's going to be for the time being. And I think we are finally ready to go to ranked ladder. Now, I know for a lot of players, this is like one of the more intimidating aspects of playing, is of course playing on ranked ladder. But some things to know about the ranks that might ease your anxiety at least a little bit. The first and foremost thing is that, you know, they're going to start you in Rookie, and then, hang on a sec, where is Details? Here we go. Yeah, they'll start you in Rookie, which has 2 tiers, and then Bronze and all the rest up to Master have 5 tiers. To advance in Rookie and early Bronze, you literally just need to win 1 duel per tier. But the most important thing to note is that in Rookie, Bronze, Silver, and Gold, you actually do not get bumped down any amount of tiers for losing, which means that as long as you're in Gold or below, there are no penalties at all for losing games in ranked duels. You only start getting knocked down when you're in Platinum, and even then, once you've entered a rank, it's impossible to get knocked down to a lower rank during the same season. So let's say you do advance from Gold to Platinum, you'll not get kicked out of Platinum for losing a lot. Even if you lose every game after advancing to Platinum, you will remain in Platinum until the end of the season. At the end of the season, everybody goes down 1 rank. So if you were in Platinum, you would then be in Gold. But yeah, there really are no penalties for losing in ranked ladder, especially early on, where you're going to be for the most part if you're first starting out. But I'm actually going to make sure that I've got the notes and the combos for Moha pulled up on the side here as we go into our first ranked duel. Because, yeah, I mean, I don't even, you know, I'm far from an expert on the Onomatopoeia Utopia deck. So in that regard, I'm pretty much in the same boat as you are in a lot of ways, where I'm just kind of following along. Now, going second, honestly, for this early on, you can still just, like, follow... Oh, they're going to let me go first. Never mind. I was going to say, if you are going second, you can still basically just follow the combo lines and still be good for the most part. But this deck does have the ability to OTK as well. All right, now here we have a ton of different starters that we could pick from. But I think I'm going to begin with Onomata Pickup. I already have a copy of Onomatopoeia in hand, which is what I'm going to add. Actually, since I already have Onomatopoeia, I could, in theory, add the Onomato Kage. Now, here our opponent is going to use Fuelos. Looks like they do have some of those hand traps there. Maybe even another one here as they are continuing to get past priority, but I think I'll still just grab the Onomato Kage here. Yeah, they definitely have another hand trap there. Let's activate Onomatopoeia. I'll discard Onomatopoeia because that can revive itself. This is the one card that isn't in Moha's deck, but it essentially fulfills a lot of the same role as the Go-Go-Go Gaius, and I think it's a little bit more flexible. All right, I'm going to add Dododo Warrior. And another card. Yes, I'm going to grab the Zubaba Knight. Now, because they played Fuelos, I don't know how many summons I'm actually going to do from my extra deck, because my opponent's going to get one draw for each. But we can still put some amount of cards on the board here. Let's dump the glove into the graveyard. And summon out our Dododo Warrior. And if I am just going to give them one draw from the extra deck, I might just straight up make Giant Hand and end on the monster negate. Is that the smartest move? Let's see. That only activates if a Utopia monster... If I summon a Utopia monster, right? Yeah. I could normal summon Zubaba Knight and then add... Let's do that. And even if they negate with Valor or Infinite Impermanence and it's still level 3, I was going to say I could still revive the glove and make it level 4. I'm going to search off this Goblin Biker Grand Entrance as well, just to do a little bit of deck thinning, even though I already have the Goblinberg in my hand. I could even revive my 2 monsters and make a second rank 4. I'd be giving them a second draw, but I can make, like, I don't know, Steel Swarm Roach or something and have more disruption on the end board. Or I could save them for a follow-up turn. I think I might just save them for a follow-up turn. Yeah, I think I might just make Giant Hand in defense mode and then pass here. They get one draw. And yeah, I'm just going to say end of phase. Seems like they definitely have another effect they might want to activate. The Giant Hand can only negate the effects of monsters my opponent controls, meaning on their field. So if they do activate a monster effect from the hand, Giant Hand can't necessarily negate that. But let's see what they do. Wow, they're on Malice, a highly competitive deck. They only have 11 cards in their extra deck. So they're not like on the most competitive version of this deck for sure. But it's a very interesting first opponent to run into who's playing what is pretty undeniably a meta deck. Now they're probably going to try to activate the effect of Dormouse here, and I'm just going to go ahead and negate that with the Giant Hand. Now, it's very likely they'll have more plays in response. So hopefully they don't just, you know, one turn kill us here. We will get a couple of searches off of our monsters. We'll grab the Ganbara Knight because I already have the Gaga coat in my hand. And then here, we'll just grab another Zubaba Knight. Alright, that's pretty much it as far as stuff we can do on their turn, though. They're going to normal summon Malice Marchhare, okay? This might have been the quick effect that was trying to activate during our turn, to be totally honest. Now, I will say that at this stage, most Malice opponents at higher ranks should be able to win the duel off of these plays. But let's see what our opponent does. They link into Haggard Lizardos. They're going to take control of my Giant Hand. This is all actually completely fine with me, because Lizardos can only really banish Marchhare, which will just get added back to their hand. It won't get summoned to the field. And they can't make Cyber Slink monsters with a reptile and a rock monster. Normally they would try to banish a Malice monster like Dormouse that can summon itself when it gets banished, but Dormouse has already used the effect to summon itself when banished because they used the field spell to banish Dormouse to get their plays going. Alright, looks like they are able to activate the effect of March Hare by banishing another Malice card. It's going to just be the Dormouse in the graveyard, though, which, as mentioned, will not be able to special summon itself as it's already activated the effect. However, now they do have a Malice monster on the field, which means they could make a Malice Link 3 monster using these two. At the same time, my opponent's board state does not necessarily threaten lethal here. Okay, they're going to make Heartscriptor using all 3 monsters, because Heartscriptor does require you to use specifically 3, not 2 or more. Now, the Malice Heartscriptor quick effect is live, it's worth noting. They've also got Radiant Typhoon Vision, interesting. Draw 2, and then discard a quick play spell or Radiant Typhoon card. Let's see what they do. They're going to discard Mystical Space Typhoon. That's fine. So yeah, assuming they don't OTK us, we're going to have to watch out for this banish effect on our turn. Well, maybe not, because they're doing it right now. So unless they banish another Malice card, they won't be able to use that effect again on our turn. Yeah, this does not matter if it gets banished at all. We do not need Automato Pickup to stay on the field. And sure enough, they're just going to swing in for 2,500. So, looks like we are surviving the turn. It's always nice to run into an opponent who's using a meta deck, but might not necessarily know how to optimize it. We are in Rookie, so that is to be expected, but this is why it's important to follow guides and look for, folks who already have some experience with the deck. All right, there's a ton of different ways that we could go about this. We control no cards, so let's begin by special summoning our Ascended Sage. We really should have done that last turn, honestly, but now let's go for the Goblinberg. This gets to activate summoning a monster from our deck, unless they choose to negate it here, which wouldn't really matter if they throw out like an Ash Blossom to negate this effect. We have access to so many level 4 monsters that, yeah. The fact that Goblinberg didn't get to add one really does not mean anything at all. Alright, I'm actually going to revive my Onomato Kage, I think. There's a lot of ways we could go about this. But I'm thinking of making Utopia Prime and maybe going for a double or nothing OTK. Yeah, actually, you know what? If we went double or nothing, we would be able to OTK. So maybe we should just do that. I mean, that assumes they don't have a hand trap that'll stop us. They could still, like, drop a Nibiru or something. Let's detach the Goblinberg. Now we add double or nothing, and we can go into Utopia. Utopia's attack gets doubled. Goblinberg effect gets to activate. Can add a Dododo Warrior from deck to hand. And this might be a little bit risky, because we could make more plays, but let me just see if we can get a clean OTK real quick. Alright, we're going to have Utopia negate its own attack, which will allow us to chain the double or nothing, which will give us another attack that will double Utopia's attack points. Now it's got 10k attack, and we deal 7,500 damage. Even if they were at 8,000 life points, the Ascended Sage would clean up with the remaining damage. And I mean, as you saw, we had the ability to make even more rank 4s there, but yeah, that kind of double or nothing OTK is something that doesn't necessarily get shown in a lot of combo guides. I don't think it was in Moha's. So, yeah, at least we got to see it there. And there we go. Our first ranked win. And that should clear some more missions, as well as giving us more gems there. Alright, so if we return... Yeah, look at that. 8 more missions cleared. Let's see what all we get from that. Another 660 gems, which is quite a bit. All right, so that leaves us with 1395. And if we are recreating Moha's list card for card, then we still need the Nibiru. Now, I will say that the Nibiru, where is it? Special bundle deal. I will say the Nibiru isn't like quite as widely played as it's maybe been in the recent past, but I think it's still worth picking up. Actually, you know what? There is something I want to pick up before the bundle deal, or at least I would if there were more than 2 days left, and that's the Gold Duel Pass. Now, the Duel Pass is 700 gems, but if you get up to level 100 before it expires, you not only get those 700 gems back, you also get 100 UR craft points. I would say if you're just an average player, it'll probably take you maybe a week or two to complete the Duel Pass. So since there's only 2 days left, I'm not going to buy this one, but normally this would actually be the next thing I get is a Gold Duel Pass, because it'll just be a return on investment that gives you more UR craft points. For now, though, we can just go ahead and grab a Nibiru. And we even get another UR along the way as well. Very nice. So now we go back over to deck. 0 to future. And we add the Nibiru. And now, I'm pretty sure the only difference between our list and the one from the combo guide video I showed you is we have 3 Ghost Spell instead of Fuelos, which is a perfectly fine substitute. 1 Triple Tactics Talent instead of Cross-Eye Designator, also a fine substitute, debatably even better. And then we are also just missing the Primethmic Alimbertian and the extra deck. We have Steel Storm Roach, which like the other ones, could even be considered a better substitute, not just a budget one. I think the only other card we're missing is the 3rd Infinite Impermanence, which is a pretty important staple card to have, but there we go. Now, we also have access to some other structure decks. I think what I'm going to do off screen is just go ahead and build out the Cyber Kaiser deck, the Crimson Power Force deck, and or the Sprite Gigantic Sparkle deck with those staple cards that I showed you before. Okay, so I have built out the other 3 structure decks that we already have access to: Sprite, Crimson Power Force, and Cybernetic Strike. And I made these versions more budget-minded so that we would have to add as minimal UR cards as possible. Each of these decks, I think, can definitely be upgraded to more competitive variants, but I wanted to stick to as many non-UR cards that we didn't already have as possible. So for Sprite, as you can see here, the only cards missing from the main deck are stuff that you can get if a friend of yours enters your campaign code. Then you'll get access to these frog cards, these nimble cards. You'll also get a lot of these extra deck cards that we're missing, but also none of them are URs, so even if you were a little impatient, just wanted to craft them, you'd be able to do so very easily. There are 4 URs that I think would be essential to add to this deck, which would be a 2nd copy of Gigantic Sprite, a 2nd copy of Sprite Elf, as well as IP Masquerena and SP Little Knight. IP Masquerena and SP Little Knight are very good cards to craft anyway, because they are staple cards that are used in a lot of decks, especially SP Little Knight. I would go so far as to say is probably useful in at least 60 to 70% of any decks you'll build. There is also the Sprite Sprint, but this will also be given to you if somebody else enters your campaign code. So for 4 more URs to craft, which would be 120 UR craft points, you would be able to have a pretty much fully competitive Sprite deck. The extra deck, a lot of these cards would ideally be replaced with more powerful options, but this would definitely serve you very well. Crimson Power Force, I think, is going to be one of the next best decks you can build. And as mentioned before, I actually did in a previous free-to-play series use a Crimson Power Force expanded deck that looked extremely similar to this one here. For this one, you would just need to buy one more Crimson Power Force structure deck and then craft one UR, which is Red Supernova Dragon, and then you would be able to use this list card for card as well. I'll go ahead and click through it. I'll do that with the Sprite deck here, because I know not everybody knows what all of these cards are by sight. So if you're stuck on one of these cards and don't know what it is, just pause the video as I click over it, and then you will be good to go. But this Crimson Power Force deck, I think, is definitely one of the most budget ones here. That is to say, a truly competitive Crimson Power Force deck would require a lot more URs than what I have here. But you could also build what I have here, and that would be a very good and serviceable budget option. As mentioned, I'll go ahead and click through all of the cards in the Sprite deck here so you can all get an idea of what's in them. Yeah, these budget versions I tried to make not only, keeping in mind spending as few UR craft points as possible, but also just keeping them very competitive. Like I said earlier, a lot of the extra deck here would be good to replace, but I mean, a lot of it is still, again, very serviceable. And then finally, there is Cybernetic Strike. I think this is probably the weakest of these four decks, but it's still very, very good. Cyber Dragon is just, in general, not competitively quite as strong as some of these other ones. And this version does also compromise on the budget side by not including some things like Therion King Regulus and some other extra deck options that would definitely be very good. If you get one more copy of the Cybernetic Strike deck, that should cover most of the stuff that's missing. Or not most of it, but at least some of it. What I was going to say that most of the URs you're missing, namely Mega Fleet Dragon, Clockwork Knight, and Infinity, are not included in the deck. And they are very much needed for a functional competitive Cyber Dragon deck. So this one would require you to craft 3 URs in addition to buying another Cybernetic Strike deck. So that would be 90 UR craft points plus 500 gems. All in all, of the deck lists that I have put together here, this Zero to Future one that this video focused on is going to end up being probably the strongest of them, the most complete towards being like a competitive deck. However, if you wanted to, there are still ways of further upgrading and expanding your Zero to Future deck, because the build that I've shown here and that we dueled with really is focused on the Utopia side of things. But, I mean, as you can see, this deck can spit out any number of level 4 bodies, and as a result, any deck that utilizes rank 4s could easily be considered. And I think the strongest of these rank 4 decks is actually going to be, you know what, we'll search it up. Yeah, we'll go to the shop because we unlocked the secret pack earlier. But yeah, the strongest of these rank 4 decks, at least in my opinion, where are they? I think they're probably going to be lower down here. Yeah, here we go, is an archetype called Ryzeal. Ryzeal is available in this secret pack, the Ultimate Weapon, Flame and Thunder. And the Ryzeal archetype, as you can see, consists of rank 4s that have some very powerful effects. The Duo Drive can be made using any level 4 monsters, so you could use your Onomatopoeia cards to make Duo Drive, and that lets you search up to 2 Ryzeal cards. Then your level 4 Ryzeal monsters can make Ryzeal Detonator, which has the very powerful effect to destroy one card by detaching a material when your opponent activates a card or effect. That's not once per turn, by the way, so that means you can destroy cards up to the number of materials under your detonator. Another pretty important rank 4 card that's included in this pack, not just for the Ryzeal variant, but this is also quite good in Onomatopoeia Utopia, the deck that we were playing before, is Eclipse Twins. This can be made using rank 4 monsters, not just level 4s, as material. And it allows you to get some additional attacks, as well as, more importantly, a lot of the time, reviving your rank 4 monsters from the graveyard. So if you're looking for a pack to expand upon your deck, then I highly recommend this Ryzeal Secret Pack, the Ultimate Weapon, Flame and Thunder. But I think for the time being, that's pretty much everything I have to show you for now. This will get you on an excellent start to your Master Duel account. By this point, you've got anywhere from 1 to 4 competitive decks all ready to go. Even if some of them are a little more budget versions, they will still service you quite well until you get more gems and craft points to either expand upon them or to make something new altogether. A lot of the newest decks do tend to be some of the better ones. The latest pack at the time of recording, Desire for Change, doesn't have any particularly powerful archetypes, but it does have more powerful staple cards like the Forbidden Crown as shown here. Admittedly, a lot of the selection packs at the time of recording don't have the most competitive decks right now, but the Challengers collection is always good for getting more of those staple cards. Remember that in this guide, I didn't even get any copies of Molcharmi Fuelos. If you're looking for which staple card you should be trying to get next, if you're following along with me and pulled the similar things I did, maxing out on a playset of Fuelos is going to be your next best bet and your next most important thing to do. But yeah, hopefully that should be a good enough start for you and your free-to-play account. If you have any questions, feel free to either ask in the comments below, or again, check out in the description an invite link to our Discord server, the HexLexPlex, and you are always welcome to ask questions there too. But I think ultimately, that is going to do it for now. Thank you so very much for watching. I really appreciate you checking out the whole guide here all the way to the end. It really means a lot. It's a great way of supporting the channel. And like I said, I truly do appreciate it. And as always, we have to end our video by making sure we also thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers for their excellent support. So let's go ahead and do so now. Hey everybody, HexLex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/HexLex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is HexLex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.